Mike, would you say you have more depth at this point in the season than you had at any point? I mean, is that going to be beneficial for you?
Well, hopefully, of course, in UNLV's case, they do too. They didn't have Kim Birch the first time, and then, of course, the kid hurt his elbow in about first 5 minutes of the game. But there was a period where we didn't have Brandon and really didn't have Ricky, where we were really short. So Ricky's still, kind of working through, trying to get his legs underneath him, but he's capable of helping. And, of course, we have Brandon now. So, yeah, I mean, it's got as many guys as we've had.
How does them having Birch change the equation for them?
Holy smokes, Birdie's here. This must be tournament time.
It was either this or the World Baseball Classic.
I applaud your choice.
I can't get over that Netherlands.
I saw that limo out there, and I said, somebody's got to get there at some point, and now I know. I'm not sure how much Kim Birch changes it. He's a really good shot blocker. He's very physical. He's a good rebounder. Haven't utilized him tremendously on offense yet, but he's a big, strong kid. So it gives him another guy. I mean, Bennett's big and strong. Thomas is big and strong. So they've got some bulk. I would think that'd make him stronger on the boards. There was a time when they started him, actually, and took Bennett out of the starting lineup to keep Bennett from getting fouls early, because he was picking up cheap fouls early, and so they did that. So he's obviously a very good player. That's just another guy to contend with.
What would be your defensive approach on Bennett? You don't really have anyone.
Well, it won't be the same as last time. I think he surprised us a little bit just with how good he was. And, it wasn't blow by, do this, do that. He just shot the ball in. He's a very good shooter for a guy his size. He's actually their leading three-point field goal percentage guy. And he'll pick and pop a lot away from the basket, but he's big and strong. He had the ball. He'd get the ball down 12 foot, just turn around and just shot right over the top of us. And then when we lifted, he just put his shoulder down and got to the basket. So, we're going to have to do a better job. Ideally, we'd like him to not have the ball all the time, or at least have it where he wants it. Easier said than done.
They're still more physical than you guys, as many teams have been, but has the key to what you've done during that 7-game win streak in sort of the second half of the year been your ability to play more aggressively, especially on defense?
Yeah, I don't think we have physical kids by nature, so it's hard for them to change the way they are just naturally. They're one of the problems that we have, and we foul, it's one of these deals on the wrist, and when other teams foul us, they're knocking us into the 8th row, and at some point, that starts to take its toll. I would say that the game, surprisingly or not, has just become more physical. There's way less called than there ever has been that I've ever seen. It seems to be a trend, and it's just something that we're all going to need to adjust to, learn how to play through contact and try to adjust to how they want the game called.
Bob Thompson on the radio the other day was talking about how he doesn't like the way the college game's going. It's so physical, guys, cutters getting clobbered constantly.
Well, he's retiring, so he can probably say what he feels.
I got one more.
Yeah, it's. You look at games on TV, and the interesting thing is, I thought, kind of across the board, what you hear being said by the people in the commentators is, wow, they're just not calling anything. I mean, if I heard it once, I heard it 5 times. And it seems to be, I think it's got some people baffled a little bit as to what that's all about. So
how have you guys managed to compensate for that? Because you're not.
We have compensated it very well because we're not physical by nature. I can remember years past when people used to call stuff, and then the comment was, well, you guys are so physical. And I said, well, why are you penalizing us for being physical when you're not penalizing them for being faster? I mean, it's kind of you shouldn't penalize just us, because that's what we are. That's what we do. Like, you can't move, can't get out of the way. But it's just learning how to make contact that apparently officials think is acceptable. And obviously where we're getting caught a lot is on reaches, and which you're generally always going to get called for. So, I mean, I think for a lot of us, we need to sit down with some people and find out what's going, what are we doing, what do we, what's the way we're going to call the game so we can teach right.
But you
Well,
survived that pretty well in
Yeah, we
recent
did.
weeks, right?
We did. I mean, we don't usually get close enough to the basket to get in trouble contact-wise. No, we're all right.
You've had physical teams in the past.
Yeah.
Like you say, you can't coach that? I mean, you talk about it's by
Well, I
nature,
think
by nature.
you take, I used to comment about like Reveno, who was just so physical naturally. He just, I mean, when he stepped across, he leg whipped you, he just, his center of gravity was low, and at the end of the games, guys say, oh, geez, like I've been in a fight. He just was big and strong that way, and some guys just naturally are that way. The other thing is on the cutters, where they're bodying up to you as you start to cut through the lane, and you're thinking, well, wait a minute, but that seems to be okay now, and so it's just an adjustment that you need to make. You need to, I guess the best way I can say, you guys got to play through contact, and historically in the NCAA tournament there has been more contact,
Right,
and you've
right.
got to play through it.
Right. Yeah, well, that's one thing you learn. But I don't want to get too heavy here, but it sounds like you're saying it's more nature, not nurture, in terms of physical play. The guys are either that way or they're not, and you can't.
There's a certain element of that. I think that if you, one of the things, there's been some articles recently, John Adams has been, they're talking about John Adams now, is that now everybody's working for John Adams. They're not working for their individual league people, because now John Adams is in control of all the officials that are going to advance, not the league supervisors. So what John Adams wants at this point is what's going to happen. And, the understanding is he's really big on freedom of movement. Now, is that going to change how the game's called? Guys that don't allow freedom of movement aren't going to advance? I don't know. But like I say, one of the things that came up was that, by being graded, theoretically you can't get graded poorly if you don't make a call. The only way you're going to get graded badly is if you make a call.
Mm-hmm.
So that would tend to say, well, I'm not going to make a call because
right.
that's not a, they're not going to go back and look at every play and say, well, that you should have, that was a bad call because there wasn't a call at all. And I think that might be part of it.
Other than Bennett's, their leading scorer, they have three other guys right around 10 points per game. How does that impact what you want to do on defense?
Well, that's what makes a good team. They got a variety of people that can play. Marshall has hurt us the two times we've played them. He's strong guard. He's really a good post-up guard. I mean, he'll actually clear a side, just take it down, and bang, 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 get close. That's been a problem for us. He's good. If you don't have somebody that can match up with that, and then they've got good enough shooters that, I mean, if you look at them last time, Jones hurt us from outside, Marshall hurt us, Moser didn't obviously because he got hurt early on. Bennett really hurt us. Thomas hurt us some. They got a lot of guys that can score the ball. Reinhardt is a freshman that'll capable of putting big numbers up. They've got a lot of guys that are capable of putting big numbers up. That's what makes a good team. I mean, you average 10 not by getting 10 every game. You average 10 by getting 23 one game and maybe 7 for 2 or 3 other games. You have the ability to put numbers up, and that's what you have to be cautious of.
Advantage, disadvantage, Mike, kind of almost playing a home game and facing a team you've already played this year.
Well, I don't see it as a home game for us because, if we run into traffic on 880, Las Vegas will take less time to get to the arena than we will by flying in. And the other thing is, the tickets were all sold because they didn't have any idea we were going to be there. So, whereas you would expect the tickets that have been sold are probably the Bay Area people that will say, hey, let's support Cal. But they're not going to be Cal people per se. The tickets that they have for their boosters and their real rabid fans, they've got the same number that we do. So they'll theoretically have the same number of those kinds of people there that we do. Now, what you would hope is maybe, Montana jump on our side because, I was there for 10 years and you might get some of that going on. But it's not. We've never played in the arena. They haven't played in the arena. We're going to have 50 minutes or 40 minutes tomorrow. They're going to have 40 minutes tomorrow. So that part of it is, which I think is a big part of home court advantage. There might be more of a, if we play well and get rolling a little bit, there might be a little more enthusiasm for us. But it's not going to be like, this place would be with 12,000.
What about playing them already once this year?
Well, they beat us at our place, so obviously we've got some work to do. The thing was we had a chance, so that's encouraging from our perspective. They played in a really good league. I think we played in a good league. I mean, they had the #1 RPI league in the country, so every night you're playing, in New Mexico, you're playing teams that are really good, and I think that has probably paid dividends for them. But, they're not, I don't know what term I want to use, but they're not really very fancy. I mean, they're not going to try to trick you with execution. They're going to put really good players in a position to take you. It's a little bit of a pro mentality. I felt like after the last game, it was a little bit like, you'd see them running 3 down, which meant 3 men there, take them. Then 4 down, 4 man there, take them. A lot of get the right guy in a spot where they feel like they have a mismatch in an isolation, and then just make plays, and they can go to the glass real well. So, if we're going to have to play really hard. We're going to have to get back on defense to not give them any of that run-out stuff. We're going to have to block off. That's not been something we've been great at, particularly when there's big physical guys coming in, rebound the ball. We're going to have to block off and set our perimeter higher. And we're going to have to guard people at point of attack. And, you're talking about guarding potential pros at point of attack. So we're going to have to be good at those things.
And ask Justin, what your message to the team was, given your experience in this tournament. He said, embrace the opportunity, not every. I mean, is that something you feel too? You're not the oldest, going to be the oldest coach at San Jose. But
Boeheim's got me by 2 years.
Yes,
I know.
You're not the youngest.
He married younger.
You're not the youngest either. You're not the youngest either. I mean, is it?
Well, what I said to them,
every chance is.
What I said to them was that, you always got a little bit of a hangover from your last loss, and you get into the conference tournament and you don't win that because you lose a game. Okay, so that's a disappointment. And so what I said was, look, 20% of the teams are playing, and we're one of those 20%. And so I said, I've never gotten out of a season without losing a game. I guess I have one. We won the NIT. Other than that, I've lost the last game. It's hard. And so what you have to understand is there's 280 other programs wishing they were in the tournament, and they're not, and we are. So we need to take advantage of this. You need to, understand that 5 months of hard work is paid off with the reward at the end, which is an invitation to the NCAA tournament. And that's really true. Now, then you go into the tournament and you realize that every team, particularly based on seeding, and most of the teams are pretty good, or they wouldn't be there. Even if the teams that have suspect records have won their last 3 games in their conference tournament. So they have the ability to win games. So, and I also said that, guys, there's no do-overs. We don't have a Saturday game. If it's not like conference where we have a Thursday, Saturday. It's not like, where we have 30 games or we have the next game. There's no next game unless we earn the right for the next game. So you got to kind of lay it on the line here, and you got to approach it from the standpoint with that kind of sense of urgency.
You still get as big a kick out of this as you did 1989 in the first game? I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, it's I don't know how to answer that really. It should be a very valuable experience for the kids to say you make the tournament. At the end of the day, obviously I've watched the importance of the tournament evolve over the years. The thing that has always slayed me a little bit, I guess, is that you play so hard and you work so hard every day, 6 days a week for 5 months plus, and then, and I've told you this before, then the colonists all show up. You haven't seen them all year long. I got to look at these 2 mugs, and then and then it's like now it's important, and I'm thinking, God dang, what did we do every day? All those, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just takes added importance, and it's gotten more and more so that way. It's become a huge event now. That also provides an opportunity for you. It provides an opportunity that makes it that big event, and then if you can go make something out of it, it becomes that much bigger of a deal. But you can only control what you can control, and that is your effort and you know how well you play in any given game. You just hope that kids understand that and don't let that opportunity slip by.
Anything else?
Yeah, to get back to Vegas a little bit, what sort of things do they do on defense? Do they like to pressure the ball, they change things up? How do they?
They will pressure the ball. They'll deny turns. They'll try to overplay leads, not let you pass the ball cleanly. You've got to get some ball movement. If you stand, then they're going to just overplay and make it very difficult to execute. If you move people around, then it's much harder to do that, and you'll get some penetration. They can be physical to basket if you go and don't go up strong. There's a chance you're not going to get to the rim. But they can be pretty physical. So they've played some zone. They played us a little bit of zone here last time. I don't think that's really what they want to do. But I think when they lost the player, it maybe changed their depth situation a little bit. They'll switch some, but not generally all that much. They're typically going to take you and defend you. They'll put their best defender on Al, I would guess. And so they're a good defensive team. They're trying to turn you over. We turned the ball over 2 or 3 or 4 times, and for runouts, we can't let that happen. We've got to take care of the ball.
Being a good defensive team, they have 250 steals for the season. That's a pretty healthy number. Is that indicative of a team that's just active and will try to cause
Overplay, trying to cause turnovers, getting into passing lanes, trying to knock balls loose, that type of thing, yeah.
They play defense differently in terms of
Well, maybe not differently than we'd like to, but we've tried to protect the paint, protect the basket, play, keep them in front of us type defense. If I'm at UNLV and I've got theoretically better athletes than other people, and I've got more of them, then I'm going to try to force action. If I'm not, then I'm going to try to play the percentages and make people take shots that maybe they don't want to take and keep the ball away from the basket. That's not changed.
You had 17 assists, 128 makes in the first game. Is that the same sort of percentage you're going to need, same sort of ball movement?
I need 29 makes this time. I needed 29 makes last time. Assist to turnover ratio is always important. If you're assisting on baskets, it means the ball's moving. These guys are finding people. You're typically better that way. If you're a one-on-one team, you're going to have less assists. We're not going to thrive or succeed playing one-on-one.
Anything else?
Was there a story about how you scheduled those guys?
No, not really.
Okay.
We'd played San Diego State home and home, we'd played Vegas home and home, we'd played New Mexico home and home. You're looking for good competition, and that league certainly has provided it. You'd prefer not to have to fly 3,000 miles to get competition. So, that league is relatively close, and it gives you, anymore what's happening is this whole RPI thing. And I'm not sure that I understand it, but if you look at it, the games that you might have won or played in November, December seem to stay with you. Once your RPI gets high, it tends to stay high unless you really have bad losses. Colorado's RPI was always ahead of ours, yet they finished behind us in an 18-game conference. And I had a hard time figuring that out. But if you looked at what it was, maybe the Baylor win or maybe the Colorado State win, those wins got them huge mileage on an RPI deal. So that's become a much bigger deal as far as your at-large invitation to the NCAA tournament, is how they view strength of schedule and the games that you won.
So you don't know who called it?